Now we can also create prisms, okay, or shapes in general, which have multiple rectangular prisms. Okay, when we put multiple rectangular prisms together, we create a larger composite, see if we can get that in there, object. Right, so it creates a larger composite object, which means that we're creating something a little bit bigger with usually a little bit more contours and a little bit more design, so to speak, in the shape. Now, to find the surface area of this shape, only the visible sides need to be solved for. Okay, so this includes the sides which are not seen on paper, yet are still visible if you could hold the shape in your hand. Okay, so we need to kind of think of it as they're not visible on paper. So like this shape right here, we know that there's like a back to this shape, the big solid rectangle. Okay, we know it's there, and so in other words, we're going to make sure that we include it in there. Making a net of these composite shapes may or may not be possible. Okay, it may or may not be possible to draw a net of these ones, as could be a lot of shapes and it could be kind of a lot of different stuff that's not necessarily connected in the nicest of ways, if we want to think of it that way. So let's take a look at how are we going to solve for the surface area of this composite shape right here. Well, the first thing that we need to do is we need to list the regular prisms, okay, which make up the composite shape or the composite object. Okay, so we need to come up with the different shapes that make it up. In this case here, we have 3 identical rectangles. Okay, so we have 3 identical rectangles right here. Okay, kind of stacked. These 2 are stacked on the bottom, and we have the third one that's been stacked up on top. Okay, then what we do is we find the surface area of each regular prism. In this case, it's going to be pretty easy. They're all 3 exactly the same, and so we're going to be finding the area of all 3 of them, or find the area of one, and that'll give us the area of all of them. Once we have that, or sorry, at that point is we subtract the areas of the overlap area for each prism. So you'll notice that this top box here, okay, if we think of it as a box, we don't see the bottom side to it. Okay, we're going to like include it in when we add them or when we determine the surface area for it, but we don't need to, or it's not included later on. So we're going to have to subtract those off, and we're going to go through how to do that in just a little bit. And the final thing then, what we do is we add, get that in there, add all the surface areas together to get the combined surface area. Okay, so we add them all together to get the combined surface area. So let's look at how we do that. Okay, this rectangular prism, okay, it is all the same. So we're going to find the surface area of this rectangular prism. Okay, it has sides of 20. It's a square on the bottom, and it has a length of 60. So to do that, I'm going to do the area is equal to 2 times the base area, and that, because it's a square, is 20 centimeters squared. Be a 0, not an n. Then we're going to add the base perimeter, which is 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20, or we can think of it as 4 times 20 centimeters. And we're going to multiply that by the length, which is 60 centimeters. And so this is the area of each of those prisms. And so if we multiply it together, we're going to get 2 times 20 squared plus 4 times 20 times 60. Okay, so the area is 5,600 centimeters squared. Now, each of these is that big. Okay, so what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up adding them all together. But first, let's look at what sides are not seen. So remember, we did this entire box, but we don't see the bottom. So we need to subtract that bottom piece. Okay, so I'm going to put this into red. Okay, so subtracted side, I'm going to put it as subtracted side. This is just an area of a rectangle. Okay, so the area is equal to 20 centimeters times 60 centimeters. And that is 1200 centimeters squared. And so this box up here, okay, we're subtracting the bottom. This box in front, we're subtracting the side. And the box over here, we're subtracting the top and the side. And yes, we have to subtract both of them. But we have to subtract 4 of those. So what we're going to do here is now we're going to add all of our combined ones together, and then we're going to subtract at the same time. So our total area is equal to 3 boxes times the 5,600 centimeters squared minus the 4 sides times 1,200 centimeters squared. The total area then, okay, so we're going to do 3 times 5,600 minus 4 times 1,200 because we're subtracting those sides. And so the total area of this one here is 12,000 centimeters squared. Okay, so we find the area of each one. Okay, in this case, they're all the same, so it makes it a little easier. And then we subtract the sides which are not seen. Okay, we subtract the sides we are not seen. There's an alternate way to do this, and I just want to go through the alternate way, and you could look at this as well if you'd like. The alternate way is to find the area of each side of the composite object. And when I say side, I'm talking about every single little piece here. Once we find all those little pieces, we're going to add, let's change that color to be purple. Add all the sides together. So again, we can do the full one and then subtract, or we can look at this and say that we have this rectangle, this 20 by 60 rectangle. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. And I'm just going to draw that in really quickly here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 on the back. We have 6 over here. We have 7 over there, and we have 8 over there. And those are the back ones we can't see. We have 8 of those rectangles. Find the area of one of them, multiply by 8. Then we also have 1, 2, 3, and then there's 4, and then 5, which you can't really see back, or it's really back, and then 6 of these squares. Find the area of the square and multiply it by 6, add that all together, and that would be your final as well. For these kinds of shapes, that one almost works better. Okay, find the area of each side, add it all together, but this one works as well where we can subtract the sides which are not seen. I want you to work on questions 11 and 12 from the assignment and find the area of every single side. Okay? Our next lesson is going to go a little bit more in depth with composite objects.